I remember once in the middle of the last lockdown, I was walking down my local high street, and suddenly about 50 people stopped in the middle of the pavement and just stopped, stood still, and started applauding. And I said, well, what's all this about? And apparently it was the birthday of the NHS. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. We can't just clap all the time. It's an empty and stupid gesture, and I think we should call time on it. Let's talk to one of the journalists at Spiked Online, Candice Holdsworth. Candice, good evening.
Hi, hello.
Do you think it's time we stopped clapping? I've had enough of it, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely. It's starting to feel oppressive now. It's like almost a religion, and if you don't take part in it, you're some kind of heretic.
Yes, that's right, because Beverly Turner, the TV personality, she caused a lot of flack, and I thought she was a bit mean-spirited about it, but she said she wasn't going to clap Captain Tom because she rejected the idea of the government forcing us into a kind of feeling that we're all in this together. So Boris was definitely harnessing the Captain Tom wave of sympathy for his own purposes in order to get us all back the NHS, back the COVID crisis, back the government effort, applaud it. It is a kind of bringing together, or he's attempting to bring the nation together. But I think the nation, as I said earlier on, the newspapers may have found a few pictures to put on the front pages, but trust me, the streets of this country echoed to the sound of silence the other night. I think people are sick and tired of it, and I think we should point out to the government we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. No one in my neighborhood clapped. I didn't hear anyone. And I mean, last year people did clap for the NHS. They did. But I think it was tone deaf by Boris Johnson. I don't think anyone's in the mood to be jollied along like this. I mean, the last one had a bit more of a grassroots feel. People were sort of into it. But this is this is exactly like you say. It just feels like we're backing government policy.
Yeah, it's a kind of call to orthodoxy to make sure there are no dissenters. I totally agree. And also, I just think, it's become, if you repeat something time and time again, it becomes more and more empty. And now I think it's absolutely ludicrous. It makes us look as a nation silly. We've got to draw a line under it, haven't we?
Yes, I don't think that's really the natural reaction to someone dying as well. That's not what I think of when I heard he died. I didn't think I wanted to clap for him. I mean, it gave me a moment of reflection, but I didn't think I wanted to go outside and clap with my neighbors. It's very odd. It's strange. It was a very strange suggestion.
And did it jar with you as it did with me when suddenly, when he said we should all take a moment tonight to step outside and applaud Captain Tom, slight pause, and the health workers?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a big political thing by the Conservative Party. I mean, they've absolutely pushed this really, 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 really hard, and it's for their purposes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to conflate Captain Tom with health workers was a bit of political artfulness, I thought, didn't you think?
I think so. Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's almost like we all have to feel the same way about everything as well, rather than just letting people feel how they want to feel. Just let people be. People are really starting to take strain now. It's getting really hard. I mean, we've been doing this for nearly a year.
Yeah, Boris is trying to engender a kind of national spirit, that we are all in this together and we can take some solace from the fact we're shoulder to shoulder fighting this terrible virus. Now, in a sense, we are. But not in the sense that I think Boris wants us to be. And I think you're right, Candice. I think the main feeling across the country is we're sick to death of this. We're sick and tired of these lockdowns. We're sick and tired of this life we're being forced to lead. And we're not going to applaud anything anymore.
No, absolutely not. I don't know. I think people really thought, could people do this for a year? Would people start rebelling against lockdown? But I don't think that's happened. I think people have just become really worn down. I mean, they're trying really hard. People are taking enormous strain, trying to work, homeschool their kids, not seeing their friends and family. In the evenings, most people are exhausted, actually.
Absolutely. Now, nobody would take it away from the frontline medical workers, the NHS staff, the nurses, the doctors, the paramedics, the orderlies, everyone at the hospital who have been fighting this virus and working round the clock, putting themselves at risk. True heroes. And I suppose back in the summer, since somebody came up with the innovation, sure, we'll clap them. But what it got conflated with was clapping the NHS as an organisation. The NHS is not worth clapping as an organisation, is it?
No, we should never ever just uncritically clap something. Absolutely not. We should never have any institution in society that is viewed so uncritically. We have to look at it with clear eyes. I mean, otherwise, it does. Like I've said before, it starts to feel oppressive.
And the NHS does not stand up to being closely examined. It's got lots and lots of things wrong with it. We revere it in a religious sense. It's our new God. We worship it as a nation. But too many times we stop thinking what it's really like, and it's not a particular. I mean, it's okay. It's got a nice concept: free health care for all at the point of entry. You know, that's great, but it doesn't in practice work that well. It is fantastically expensive. It spends far too much money. It has a massive middle management structure that drains money like water, and people have to wait years on end for surgery. People get stuck in corridors. I mean, the COVID crisis, okay, it's been bad, but the NHS has struggled to cope. I mean, why can't we have a health service that doesn't struggle to cope?
Yeah, I mean, I think health services all over the world have struggled. I don't think there's one that hasn't. I just think there's nothing is perfect in society. You can't make gods of these things, It is health service. It gives health provision. That's how we have to look at it, not this, like you say, standing and pausing in the street to clap it. I mean, that makes people afraid to criticize something that they actually may have a problem with if something goes wrong for them or something doesn't feel right.
Well, I think it's to do with a bid by the government for us to revere and honour the state. That we believe the state is doing everything it can for us. We love the state. So when we clap the NHS, when we clap Captain Tom on order of the Prime Minister, in a way, I think we're being asked to applaud the government.
Definitely. And I think this has been a big drive by the Conservative Party as well. They are trying to really wrap themselves in the flag of the NHS. They don't want to be seen as the evil Tory party that wants to cut the NHS. I think they're trying to use it as an opportunity to take that from Labour.
And I think that at the end of this crisis, Godspeed that, by the way, I hope it will end in the not too distant future, we need to take that opportunity to have a good close look at the NHS because it needs serious reform. I mean, don't forget that the NHS struggles to cope at this time every year. Obviously, the COVID crisis has made it 10 times worse, but it always struggles in the winter. And given the vast amounts of money it gets from the public purse, why is this the case? I mean, surely with the money it gets, it should be able to cope with medical crises. So would you agree that we have to reform the NHS when this is all over?
I mean, I'm not really the person to ask about reform of the NHS. I'm not an expert on that. I'm genuinely not an expert. But I would think that based on the experience we've had, yes, we need to look at things. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, Candice, and when they've reformed the NHS and they've got it running like an economically viable, lean machine, you and me, on our doorsteps, we'll give them a good old clap, eh? No, or rather, let's not. Candice, thanks very much for your time. Thank you. Candice Holdsworth, a journalist at Spiked Online. What do you think? Should we stop clapping everything? Because I think we should. Stop being asked to clap and stop doing it. It was okay in its time, but it's past its sell-by date. It's time to stop, and no more calls for the nation to applaud. No more prime ministerial orders to applaud for anything, please.